This is a meeting, I'm going to call this meeting to order. It's a meeting of the district chairs of the representative town meeting. And we want to discuss and formulate procedures to propose revisions to the town code and charter, and to improve government efficiency and improve the experience of elected officials. That's almost a quote directly from the first selectman.
Easy peasy.
So the first thing I have to do is ask for a volunteer, because we have to take minutes, folks. This is a formal meeting. Do I have a person who would be willing to? I will help. It's hard for me to run. Oh,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much.
Talk slow.
I was trying to
talk
run
slow.
the table, but it
We are being recorded.
Right,
Yes,
so-
go back.
Yeah, so you can always play it back.
Okay.
but-
Or use an AI summary.
Yeah. So,
You wouldn't be the first.
Maybe you can help.
thanks, that's terrific.
Okay.
So, the next item is just to try and figure out, well, how do we, first of all, just by way of background, the Rules Committee met, I put this question on the agenda of the Rules Committee. I said, okay, how are we going to respond? How is the RTM going to respond? And I suggested that we go with the standing committees, that they take it on. The Rules Committee felt that there was too much going on for them to do it. And so they said that the district, it should be the districts that do it. Closer perhaps to their bodies. And so I thought, well, before I just send an email out and say, hi, you've been elected, why don't we have a meeting and figure out this together? In order to do this, there has to be a way to sort of standardize how you're going to attack it, I think. There's so much leeway
Can I ask you a
anyway.
question first?
Yes, Per.
I was at the meeting. Did anybody watch the rules meeting?
No.
Okay, so I would encourage, after this,
Uh-huh.
go find the section where you listen to the debate. It'll give you context on it.
Yes,
which I think
it's
will be
hard for me
helpful.
to, I mean, we.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not trying to cut you off, I'm just
No,
saying,
Per, it was.
I was there, and
yeah.
it was not a 5-minute discussion.
No,
let's
no.
just say.
It was a long
Thank you for that. I
discussion.
made it up.
And I easily could have, in the interest of time, it went on for a while. And it was a struggle trying to figure, and I think that, I mean, it was unanimous that this was the way to approach it. So,
Would you mind if I give my quick summary?
no.
Is that okay?
Sure.
So, when Seth proposed that it go to the committees, I just asked the question, because my interpretation, and this is my personal one, listening to John, because I heard him make this request of rules, was that he's really looking for what I consider a brainstorming session. It's the greater wisdom of members of the RTM and the public about what can we do better for the town? Like what will make the town more effective, efficient, and frankly be a better all-round experience for the volunteers that are making our town run. Yes, we want to make it, easier on all of our town elected officials and so forth, but that's kind of where I sensed that he was coming from. And in that spirit, what the Rules Committee ended up debating was, well, where does that kind of conversation belong? And I will say, my question was, why isn't this something that we don't bring back to our own districts? Because we're
The
elected.
district, there, he's got the blame, right there.
Yeah, it's my fault. But it's like, my suggestion was that as a district, we don't get together for any other reason, like other than, caucusing people in and so forth. But we are representing our districts, so by bringing it back to our districts to brainstorm, we would have, the members of our district have an opportunity to, talk to their friends or however they gather information and bring it back, and the district would have a meeting. And it would be a brainstorming session. It is not a problem-solving, solution-providing. It's a, where do things not function particularly well, and where do you think there could be areas of improvement? And so that was the gist of the
To
argument.
clarify what you were saying, first of all, thank you for that summary.
Yes.
Yeah.
When you say meeting of the districts, in District 6 over the years, we have had many times a caucus of the members, which is limited to the members. Of course, it's a public meeting, but it's generally limited to the members. And we've also had a few times a public meeting,
Good.
and I'm just not sure which one you mean.
And I'm new enough that I'm not making a distinction between those. In my mind, I'm thinking the caucus, it is open to the public, but it's really the members, the,
Right.
you know, the representatives that are discussing.
So in 6, we have had in the past a handful of times. I mean, I've been on for too long. But, I'm going to say three times-ish. We have done like a public information / public discussion session where we would talk a little bit about what we were working on. You know, like people from every committee are in District 6, and I'm sure in yours as well. But then we would mostly open it up to the public to say, is there any feedback, is there any stuff like that? We haven't done that in several years. So I think there's an appetite to do that in District 6 already, because we've done it in the past, because it's been a long time. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and part of it is because I know some of the District 4 representatives also would like to get together to discuss topics that are meaningful. And they're not, nobody's looking for random meetings. And we're not trying to create more work. But this did strike us, and that's why the Rules Committee took so long to discuss it, because the pros and cons are that our committee structure has expertise in different committees.
That was where I was headed, but you know, Rules Committee had good points too, and it is a democracy.
So the general idea was...
I have been introduced as the person who runs the RTM, and I immediately decline that.
So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think that's great,
That's
Barry.
the context
Thanks.
of what we're being asked to relay.
And can I just ask, again, I have only heard of this 8th hand, so I appreciate your direct testimony, and Seth, clearly you're involved up to your neck. I guess my concern, I want to not be a loaded word, right? But like, if the mandate is truly as wide open blue sky as what you're suggesting, like, you could, I mean, this could go radically divergent from like what we have, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? But I mean, my instinct, and I could be 100% wrong, is that probably, whether it's John himself or other folks in leadership in the town, have a couple of targeted changes that they're interested in making. And so I guess I'm trying to identify if there's really a more limited target agenda that we're really trying to accomplish, or that they're trying to accomplish.
On the occasions when he's addressed the RTM directly and talked to the Rules Committee, if he has an agenda, he hasn't disclosed what it is, other than to get input. And so it's sort of been left up to us. It started with the Rules Committee, because we had to figure out, well, okay, how are you going to deal with it? And so it's narrow in the sense of having the districts get involved, but it's broad in the sense that they're, other than what we've got in writing, which is changes to the code, charter, and all, with the idea of improving government efficiency and improve the experience of elected officials.
But didn't
You really,
TGSNA come up with some ideas already? Did I read that somewhere? No.
this doesn't, it goes to, well, let me just talk through this before we get
Sorry.
ahead of
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
So, the idea is that for you to function effectively, you've got to follow a set of rules. Because if you're going to have a meeting, these are not caucuses. You can't do this with a caucus, because you're going to vote to adopt certain changes. Certain things that you want to go, excuse me, just so that I can explain this.
Yeah.
So that if you're coming forward with things that you think ought to change, whether they are in the code or the charter or elsewhere, something else that you've discovered, you would get your districts together and vote them. And so you do have to have a clerk taking notes, and you have to warn the meetings, and then vote on the changes that you think ought to be made.
I'm
Yeah.
confused about that. Go ahead.
Wouldn't we first need to go through the brainstorming process?
Yeah, exactly.
And then come up with
That's right.
ideas? Maybe it goes
Right.
before TGSNA or the Board of Selectmen to narrow it down and then decide to vote on it?
No, the first thing you have to do is identify what changes ought to be made, and get those on the table.
Okay.
So
Before
But isn't
the
that the
brainstorming
brainstorming?
session? No,
Before the
that
No,
would
the
come out of the
districts
brainstorm.
brainstorm when they have their meetings.
Right.
So respectfully, it sounds like it's a two-stage process.
At
Stage
least.
one is districts brainstorm
Yeah.
without commitment to generate raw material.
Right.
Right,
That goes back to rules, it gets refined, and then stage two is it goes to the functional committees to implement things that might be workable, that the rules committee thinks might be doable. Is that-
well,
is that fair?
it would go to TGSNA
Yeah.
to conform it to legal things
But let's say,
where necessary. There might be code and charter changes that you have to make. So
But if
our suggestions would go to TGSNA. They would put it together in a legal form, working with town council, and then it comes to rules committee, and also would most likely go to the board, to Zagrodzky.
again, I've been on public works for forever, so I'm just trying to think how this might impact, say, public works. Let's say there's a proposal to realign however the sewer commission works.
Yeah, right.
Or how sewers function in town, or something like that, just because that's, near and dear to my heart. Presumably, not only would that go to TGSNA, but that would also go to Public Works.
Oh, yeah.
For input on that functional.
Oh,
area.
yeah, before,
Or there's a question about the swap shop, or, how things like that.
exactly.
Likewise, if there's something about budgetarily how information is shared, not only would that go to TGSNA as to codify the language, but would go to finance and budget as to how they would execute their process.
Well, I don't think the rules committee
Thank you. I tried to
saw
move
that down the highway, but I think probably when the thoughts had been put together, it would hit the rules committee, and I think the rules committee would have to assign stuff that clearly went to a standing committee to
But
get
then-
their input.
So but I think we're broadly aligned, I'm looking for alignment.
Yeah,
To
yeah.
say that this is a two-stage process, where stage one is where they're brainstorming
That's
to
it.
generate raw material
That's why I'm here.
at the caucus. And
Yeah.
then stage two is after, it goes to rules, and stage two is it goes to, whether it's TGSNA or some broader group of committees, and that's where resolutions are voted on, or resolutions are crafted. Is that fair?
Well, I think you would vote what you want to bring forward from your district.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Can I,
Yes.
I almost feel like there might be a stage ahead of the brainstorm where I know for me, I do better with brainstorming if I have something more clearly defined. It just feels like this huge, like brainstorm about how we make changes. I would do better personally if I had something more focused. So like I would like to read through the charter and kind of, as you read through, identify, ooh, this is problematic. Maybe we break up, like rather than all of our districts tackling the same things all at once, what do you guys think if like your district is given one like area to brainstorm on, and your district is, and like breaking up the task rather than making it this one massive thing that we're brainstorming on?
Well, because different people look at things different ways,
Right.
the thought was that you include as part of what you're doing, the review of the charter and the code so that you come up with things out of there that you want to change.
Okay.
And in addition to that, there may be just stuff that you're running into. That's why we took the districts. Say, oh man, did you see, have you ever been in and tried to do this in town? Oh, that, you know, that you put that on the list.
And maybe if we're all kind of like these touch
Well,
points where
then-
we're all
then
saying the same things.
I see no
Right.
problem with us coming together
Okay.
again, all of us, the 6 of us, and say, all right, what do we got here?
Okay.
Well, 3 districts have said this, 2 districts have said that, and you say, well, that was kind of a waste of time. Why did, you know, we have 3 different people, and then the answer is, well, because you start to get direction,
Data.
and well, yes.
I think
So,
also that.
You've been great,
for-
very patient.
Sorry, I need to be more patient. I think that it starts maybe with each district with our RTM members. Ask, read through the charter, what do you see? And first have a district meeting, it obviously has to be open and anybody can come. But have that conversation, then from there, maybe it's whittled down, then we open it up really specifically to the constituents. And then get the input, who knows what we're gonna get, like, yeah, do you know what it's like to get a dog tag? It's like impossible, whatever, you know?
Right, okay.
And then
You know
I
what it's
think
like
the
to try to
district.
schedule a bunch of McLeod members. Yeah.
And then from there, then the district, maybe the RTM members meet again, or somebody is assigned to bring it sort of all together. Then we come back here with the 6 of us, see if there's any alignment, overlap, or what is ridiculous or impossible, and then it then gets assigned to committee rules, and then they figure it out. But I feel like there needs to be at least 3 steps before it even gets to rules or TGSNA or.
Okay,
And here's the other thing though, I don't know what the rules are about, how many meetings do you have to have public to have people have an opportunity to give input? And can they send emails to the district chair if they can't make, say, the public meeting?
yes, but you have to have, you know, you would have to have a district meeting, and you have to have a quorum, and it has to be warned, and you gotta take minutes. It sounds, I'm just gonna say, I think you'll feel it's routine after you do it a few times. Well, that was one thing that I saw, the standing committees call meetings all the time, and they follow all of those rules.
Right.
Not so much with the districts, but you have to do that to make it official and to lay it on the table.
You know,
So
it's a good
that's-
idea
that's-
anyway, it's probably something that should happen all the time anyway, we should know what the constituents are concerned about. I mean, I send emails to the people that I know, but when something's happening, but otherwise, you don't always know.
Well, I'm gonna try and lay out just some basics for you. And there is no, we don't have a 5-page directive from the Rules Committee here for you, except other than me making sure that I got you all on at the table at the same time, so you could start to grapple with this. But I think, yes, you gotta go through the code and the charter, because in the long run, you're gonna have to vote on anything that has to do with it, and you've gotta have familiarity with it. So it has a plus from that standpoint, you just gotta be familiar with what it says. I've been doing it a long time, and it comes in real handy, particularly when you get into the points of it. You have to be able to debate it or talk about it, and if you haven't read it, you know, so you're gonna wanna go through it and come up with ideas there, in addition to the idea of just rough stuff that you just encounter and that people encounter. There is no limit on how you do it, really. I mean, if you wanted to have a hearing of your district beyond the district, the elected officials, you can do that. Now, it's not nobody's saying, what we're trying to do is get to the truth. And so any way that you want to reach out, you can do. But in the end, you're going to have to pull it together as the elected officials as to what it is. and document it so that it gets to, I think in the end, we'd probably come here just to talk about if we got, just to coordinate if we got 16 duplications, you know?
Right.
But also to try and make sure that everything gets out on the table. Because that's the whole point, is to just, you know, get a broad reach. And then we make some decisions about, well, all right, when you're coming forward, what each district is recommending, I guess we would just have a way of saying, well, 4 districts felt that this ought to happen. You know, 6 districts were in agreement on all of this. And I think that that gives some direction to this thing. And I think then these suggestions, those that bear on the charter and the code would go to TGS&A to get put in the right format. And then you'd have something that that the RTM could vote on, and also something which would be, when you send it, we'd send, I think, a copy of it to John Zagrodzky, that he would have something that he knows is doable or fits state statutes. You've got a lot of little funny things going on, state statutes, FOIA statutes, everything else, and it helps to have TGS&A, and they obviously work closely with town council to get this thing, to get it tightened up. Just from a, I'm not saying eliminating ideas, but just tighten it up so that it's something that you have some idea of how you want to implement it. You know? Yeah.
I have like a 2-second
Go.
thing.
Yes.
I think first we need to start with having access to the most updated charter.
So
So,
that I have started on.
okay.
I called town clerk, and she said, well, not sure if it's, then I called Linda O'Leary, who is a font of all knowledge on these things. And she said, I think we can get a copy. And then I said, well, I'd like to have town council.
Didn't we just vote on some changes?
It's not-
Is that why?
No.
Because they haven't updated it?
I don't
That's
think it's
just
been
appendix B,
updated.
right?
So the one
Yeah,
on the
but still.
website isn't the one that's.
It-
When I did the recent caucus, I was telling Seth about this, I remembered that there was a change to how we ran the caucuses, and when I saw a referenced Appendix B, I'm like, ooh, I thought that had changed. And sure enough, I asked Krista, and she said, I guess the website hasn't been updated, so I don't think
Okay,
it
that's
reflects the current changes.
So when you say website, do you mean the Municode website or?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I went to town council and I said, look, get a hold of Municode, I gotta have something to work off of here. So that's in the works. I hate
So
to use
that's
the
an
word pounding
efficiency
it.
thing that would come up with.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Nothing funny.
I was
These are
thinking,
the things that
Yeah.
allow us to operate our government more efficiently,
Right,
is to
right.
have access to the
All
correct
right,
information.
so
Yes.
I'm
item number 1.
getting that. This is the agenda.
I'm still looking for a little clarity here, because
Yeah.
I've run a lot of meetings in my life, I understand the whole process.
Mhm.
I had envisioned that the first district meeting that we're all talking about here, you would notice it, we structure it correctly, it would probably be a caucus, because we only want our members talking like this. The agenda would be very simple, because it would be the open
Yes.
topic, at which point the minutes are recording the discussion and the ideas that are put forward. I don't see a vote in any of this, it's
No.
just a recording of ideas. And you keep mentioning a vote, and that's what's confusing me, because
Well,
we're not voting on anything.
when you,
So
when,
I'll
no,
understand that.
I'm talking broadly. When you get to the point where you've reached some conclusions, you will vote them so that you have formally adopted you have to have a way of formally adopting the recommendations.
So the RTM as a
Yeah.
whole,
No,
I-
it's a
I'm
legal
at this-
thing.
Just our district isn't,
we don't need to vote.
well, he keeps saying we do, this is
Well,
what has me confused.
Well, maybe.
No,
Maybe I'm not hearing
we're not precluding discussion. But if you call a meeting, which you have to do, you have to warn it, you have to have minutes of the meeting, and that's just FOIA, it's the Freedom of Information and a whole bunch of, it is not a caucus. When we're meeting on business of the town, it's not replacing somebody in a district,
So-
or adding someone.
So at the end of the meeting, when you have like the brainstorm, are you saying that we have to like compile that and vote on that, or you're just saying we can just email that off to?
No, you can
What-
email
here's
a
what I'm
discussion
understanding.
and not, you don't have to take a vote, but at some
Okay.
point, I think procedurally, you're gonna wanna lay out certain things in your meeting as to how this is all gonna work in your district.
Right, of course, right.
So, you know, for example, you know,
Seth, respectfully,
I've got, you know, first of all, your meetings are subject to Robert's Rules and the Freedom of Information Act.
Right,
Okay, which means you have to take the minutes, you've got to post them, they've got to
Correct.
be given to Krista and all of that, that's, you know. How you do the meetings, that's another question. There are different ways that you can approach it. Trying to poll a district, 6 districts, having meetings here in town hall, which have to be, you know, it could be difficult. I've been thinking about this, saying, well, all right, if we're gonna have all 6 districts having a meeting, their own meetings, because they have to do with how your district wants to run things, how are you gonna do that?
but Seth,
I-
I don't think anyone's suggesting that districts are gonna be fundamentally that different in how, like, the people in the east side of town wanna run things very different from the west side of town, right? I think this is more about how we deal with town hall,
Fine.
and, I mean, so.
Yeah, but it's the administration of the thing, you know, how do you, how do you book the meeting? How do you get a room to do it in? And then, because you have to warn the meeting and you have to say where it is and what time it's gonna be and all of that. So, I just trying to give you some ideas on, you know, ways to go about it.
So as a district chair, right?
Yeah.
It would be super helpful for me if I'm gonna deal with this mandate from the rules committee, if the rules committee would help me understand kind of where the bright lines are that I shouldn't color outside of. For example, no matter what you think, we can't change the state FOIA Act. It's state law, we gotta comply,
That's right.
right? So no matter what people might think about the relationship of the Board of Ed to the Board of Selectmen, that is mandated by state structure. That's nothing that we can change.
Well, you can't touch the Board of Ed.
So I think it would be, well, but it would be super helpful
Just
if
need
you
to
could,
read the charter.
the Board of Ed is 70% of the budget, right? So as people think about, oh, where are we gonna make things more efficient, like, we're gonna carve off 65 or 70% of the budget, because that's Board of Ed, and that's not what we
Well,
are meant to
and
deal with.
it may not be budget related, it may be procedural.
I'm
whatever.
just saying, if we're talking about efficiency, most people think in, like, financially, maybe not. All I'm saying is my bigger point is that it would be super helpful if the Rules Committee could come up with a short summary of here are the bright lines that you probably don't want to color outside of, because these are probably going to violate state law. So don't worry about telling the Board of Ed how to do their business, because that's the Board of Ed's, like, they have autonomy over that. I'm just blue skying here, because this is a very blue sky type of request.
That's why we're here.
Right, but like, if somebody said, oh, I want to change how I want to abolish the Board of Finance in town, I assume that the structure of the Board of Finance and the way the Board of Finance relates to the Board of Selectmen is mandated by state structure, and so probably not a productive place for us to be playing.
It's the charter and the code, but.
Yeah,
So-
I
so-
think it's just limited to the town charter.
Yeah.
Okay.
So read the charter and whatever's in there is what you can maybe meddle with.
Yeah, and I'm here just telling you what the basic rules are.
Okay, but again,
But within that-
any kind of framing document that is more specific than the mandate of this meeting would be super helpful.
Yeah.
And if that's not coming, then you're telling me it's not coming, then.
No, I think as long as you stay within the basic rules, because you are let's say, a public organization, you're part of the RTM, and you're subject to the rules of the RTM, and that's
Right.
the most important thing, really.
So
The rest of it is to allow you the chance to bring forward ideas.
But if, okay, but if, for
Can I-
example, I asked the question because I haven't read this in the charter, right?
Yeah.
Is the fact that there are 5 members of the Board of Selectmen, could that be changed by changing the charter?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's on the table. for
Yeah.
example. Okay, I
Whatever's
mean,
in the
yeah,
charter.
okay.
yeah. You probably, I won't go through all what you would go through to do that.
No, I'm just
right
saying,
at
like,
the moment, but it certainly, you wouldn't take it off the table. In other words, we've said we want to leave it pretty open, so that you are looking, we want to look, if you want to, the opportunities to change the charter in the code don't come along very often. The last one I can remember, I was involved in it, and it was about
20 years ago.
20 years ago.
23,
Yeah.
24,
Yeah, so you want to take advantage of that. To go through it and look and see if there are things which you've had experience now with the RTM and a little bit about how the town works, and if there's stuff that's just could be changed, here's your chance. And so it's in that, in that vein, that's really the direction, and there wasn't a lot of detail as to how you want to go about it. I think it leaves it up to you. I'm just going through some basics with you here tonight as to just things that you have to know about. And the rest is, all right, get out and do it, and let's touch base with each other. When you run into any kind of questions or issues, you got me to call for sure. You can call members of the Rules Committee, or you. We didn't get a lot of detail there, so I don't know how much more they were
A
looking
little
for.
clarity, like, to be fair, when John presented, he did not present the idea of a detailed, total review of the charter and code and all the things. Like, he wasn't proposing this massive rewrite, like open Pandora's box.
Well, that's what he's doing.
I think that you're correct. He does not realize that's what he's done.
I think he realizes it very well.
He
I-
doesn't,
because of
no, I think he
February
realizes, his idea was more of a, let's get some ideas on efficiency and effectiveness, and
Right.
like, what are the things that really bother you the most about how the town operates and how we get things done?
Right.
It could be, I'm terrible at this, so maybe there are 6 committees that have overlapping responsibilities, and it seems highly inefficient that you got 6 when you might be able to do it with 1. It's a bad example.
Right.
But I think he was
But-
thinking more like that.
Well, maybe
But
we
it's-
need to get
it's open this Pandora's box.
clarification
Well, that's
from
what
John.
I
Like,
wanted to, if I can just,
Yes,
I've been
yeah.
in district chair for 3 months. I have
Yeah.
no idea, like, really what I'm doing. I'm happy to do
You're
it.
more knowledgeable than me.
Well, I don't know about that.
You gotta figure it out.
It doesn't get better.
That's what I'm starting to wonder. So I guess my question is, when we first started this meeting tonight, we were talking about looking at it to make volunteering more easier for people in the town. And
That's part of it, yep.
But it seems like we really don't have a direction of how big this endeavor wants to be taken. And it would be a lot, I just think, to go to the constituents and say, like, what do you want changed in the town? I mean, we could, get 100 things to do. Is there any way we can get a clearer direction from John of like what he's thinking? I did hear him say something about making the volunteers.
Yep.
Be better.
Yes.
Yes.
It's
But
right on
now
there. I
it's,
put that.
but now it just seems like it's turning into like the Board of Selectmen, and I guess I'm just unclear what the goal is.
Well, he has spelled out, government efficiency, making it run better, and improve the experience of elected officials. That's a very abbreviated, as Per can,
But government
Very
efficiency
abbreviated,
is the eye of
thing.
the beholder.
Well,
a little
everything's,
bit.
but everything is like,
Yeah.
it just, I don't know, I'm a little lost, but.
Well,
And
it's just
respectfully,
me.
the point of government is not efficiency. The point of private industry, the point of government is service
Well,
delivery.
you can debate that in your, in your district.
It's not a debate.
All right,
Do you
so
understand what I'm saying?
just,
I do.
Yeah.
So like, I'm a little different than you, because I'm perfectly comfortable in an environment like this,
Yeah,
where
Yeah.
there are no boundaries,
yeah.
right?
You're right.
And I very often will hold a meeting and says, okay, I know you're gonna be uncomfortable, but let go of all of your baggage, everything else. There are no
Okay.
boundaries. I'm not gonna constrain how you think. Don't worry about that.
Right.
Just get it out there. And then what you have to do is trust the process, because the process
Yeah.
then is all of that
Mhm.
shared with your colleagues
Mhm.
is the first layer of, oh,
Right.
you know, I think what your idea this way. And it allows you to hone the ideas. You'll come up with better recommendations,
Mhm.
just from the group of us sitting around talking.
Mhm.
That's what flows up. Now, originally, John wanted that to go to him
Uh-huh.
directly. That's where
So-
Pandora's box was opened. We're like, look, you know, that's a great idea, but John, you know, the RTM has the authority to change code, make many of these things. There are some smaller things. And that's kind of why you're now like, wait, what are we supposed to be doing?
Right.
Mhm.
And at least for me, if I'm sitting in my district and Brian's running the meeting, we're just gonna have a conversation, right? And some people will go read the code, others will just bring their
Damn
thoughts,
few are gonna
ideas,
read
and
the
agree.
code.
Yeah. They're not.
Well, but
Right, I mean-
some of those
I like
ideas
stuff
are not
like
going to
that,
be
yeah.
valid, we won't be able to do anything with them
Correct.
because they're not part of the charter or the code,
Yeah, and-
but it's good for people to sort of
Yeah,
like.
no,
okay,
it-
I agree with
it's,
that.
So if that,
And then
yeah.
we're
I don't know
restricted
if that
by
makes you more
Robert's rules
comfortable,
and
but
FOIA.
that kind of process is what's being proposed, is to just allow us as districts to get together with our people.
And that's, I'm not
And
uncomfortable with that, I just
yeah.
wanted to get a sense of
Yeah.
like what the end game is, like why are we.
All that's gonna go up
Yeah.
and,
And believe it or not,
It's a
Yeah.
process.
you describing that
Yes.
is something that I can latch on. Like,
Okay.
okay, now I get it. That's the process. I just needed clarity.
and that's what Priscilla's saying, it's like
Yeah.
2-3 steps here.
Right.
If we get too far ahead, it's not about like, yes, we have to run our meetings correctly, but we don't have to like make decisions and make sure it fits in the,
Okay.
like, it's gonna filter up to committees that have expertise,
Mhm,
people
mhm,
like
mhm.
Seth that have deep knowledge and experience. And we'll have, you know, it'll all get filtered down.
Right.
Mhm.
And we'll come up with, because that's the problem, we can't do 100 different changes. But if we can come up with 5 or 6
Mhm.
that really make a difference, that's what I think John's after out of all
And
this.
that's a
Well, and
lot, I
Yeah.
feel like that's a lot.
And that would be a lot.
Yeah.
But that's,
But I do believe
Yeah.
that with all the districts working, quote, independently and then coming together,
Mhm.
you're gonna get new ideas filtering up that, and this is why rules debated it, that if we just send it to the committees with expertise,
That first step.
It's too
also.
narrow.
they're already
Yeah.
within the
Yeah.
box, right? And that's the
Yeah.
box that I like to break open and let
Yeah.
people think.
Well, and I think also getting back to the point that you made, Priscilla,
Thank you.
about whether people read the code or not, I think one of the things that makes participation in government, one goal that I would have is to make it easier for people to participate. So if we say you have to read the code, okay, I'm gonna send you the link. I'm gonna do whatever I can to make it easier, because I think there is a perception that to participate in any way, you have to watch this Board of Selectmen meeting, you have to watch the Board of Finance meeting, you have to watch the RTM meeting, you have to watch all the subcommittee meetings, and if you haven't done that, then you, I don't mean you, I mean
Yeah.
citizens.
Yeah.
Collective view,
Right.
right, yeah.
and then you
cannot
can't do
participate.
that.
Right.
So,
Right,
so, what I'm saying to you is tonight, just laying out some approaches to getting the job done, based on having done a few here and there, in this environment and under these rules.
But in fact, if my process in 6 is radically different from Erica's process in 5, and we end up submitting something intelligible to rules as the output of those meetings, even if our processes are different, you're cool with that, because we went through different, and Pear's process is gonna be different from in 4.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they still
Yeah.
have to follow a certain order,
But I'm
certain
just-
rules, but I also think if we come back together
Right.
again, after we've been out to our districts and then the 6, 7 of us come together, then it'll start to have some cohesion.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? And
Uh,
you,
No.
I'm just thinking again. Well, let me open this to the group. Would this be easier if our vice chairs were here as well, to have more people at the table, or would that be less streamlined and less productive?
Well, I think you're.
I'm filling in for two right now.
Well, he's not a district chair,
Right, no, but it's, I mean, okay, so you have a
Yeah.
substitute there, but I mean, would it be more helpful?
but he is from the Rules Committee, which is great because it gives you a flavor for what went on.
I'm just asking what
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think about that.
No.
I mean,
I
am not-
think,
I mean, you can certainly use your vice chair,
yeah,
if that's easier
Yeah.
for you.
you can,
I certainly will, absolutely.
yeah,
And by the way, this was I was coming anyway. So whether it was the chair or not, I would be sitting over there, but I was coming anyway.
Well, we'd
so-
ask you to the main table, because it's.
no, but a courtesy,
Oh, great, yes. But
professional courtesy.
I do think there's a balance, right? You don't want too many voices, but it depends on your relationship with your vice chair, right?
Right,
So if you think that's helpful, great.
got it.
If it's
And
duplicative, maybe not.
It clearly gives you a sense of how you can go about this, which is really the key.
Can I ask you
I
another
think,
question? Time frame.
Yes.
When do you want what's the deadline to get some intelligent response back to rules? And I hope it's not too fast.
It's too fast.
Well, you know, I mean, here we are at the end of.
April 30 was a suggested time to have
Your first.
the thoughts together.
There's some schools, some people have 2 weeks in March off.
Well,
Vacation.
that's why I said, and I listened, and okay, I will bring this to the troops, but
Yeah, and
let's,
there's Easter break,
let's,
yeah.
I mean,
Let's
if we use the
modify it.
spring to get our thoughts together, and by the time the school year is over, we have thoughtful responses to rules. I mean, that's 3.5 months out, which does not seem like an excessive amount of time, given the size of the ocean we're trying to boil.
Mhm. So your
Let's say May, end of May.
school gets out when?
About June 15th.
June
June
15th.
18th now.
Sorry.
And
And after
My
that,
kids have all graduated there. So.
and folks, after June 15, it's gone, you know.
Well, that
Everybody's-
gives Rules and John the summer to plow through what has been generated, and then we come back in the fall and we digest what that comes out to.
Before the next election.
Your thoughts, other thoughts? You like June 15 for now? We're in the beginning of this.
I think that's more realistic.
You,
I mean, we
Alright.
can always touch base too.
Right,
It
okay.
turns out
Yeah.
that
I think
it's
this
the
group
middle
needs
of
to be
March
monthly.
and we've had all our
Yeah.
meetings.
I agree,
Okay.
I agree,
Yeah, yeah.
I agree.
all
I
right.
mean, I hate to say it, but I think
No,
this group needs to
I
be
think
monthly.
you're right.
I mean,
I
Because we
mean,
don't want
I'm
people
willing-
fired.
You
It's
had
not
your-
gonna happen.
you guys have had your district. Brian has not, since I've been part of it.
I haven't.
Yeah, well,
We've had our district what? I didn't have it.
together,
Oh,
like
mhm.
organized a
Oh, yeah,
meeting,
yeah.
actually.
Mhm.
How hard is it? So I
Oh, it's quite doable with enough
Right.
notice.
It's doable,
So-
but I'm just concerned about the vacations, because we have an age range, certainly, our
Yeah.
RTM
Well-
members, there's quite an age range.
I
so you
coached
think it may be hard to get
for
together
years.
in the next couple of months, like you just wouldn't be
might
able to
be.
pull it?
Or-
I'm not at that age group anymore.
I guess
so
Karen,
it's-
I'm thinking this is like just from my side, I think this has multiple steps. Like, I think we need a meeting of our district RTM members
Yeah.
to talk about this. I think we need a wider meeting, maybe a caucus of the
Okay.
public.
Yeah,
And then maybe we need another meeting of the RTM members. Again, all this, to your point, is all open to the public, but we have work to do if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna
Right,
take this
no, and that's
responsibility.
why we went to the smaller, let's, first of all, let's not have people, ersatz off the top, submitting stuff to the first selectman.
Right.
Well, you don't want any whack
So,
jobs sending in
no, the idea is that you get
there are no whack jobs. in
some
town.
people.
Trust me.
No, no.
Trust me.
I'm just saying, There are
So what I'm saying
You're
is,
looking at one.
it made sense to get it into the smaller level, the district level, where you could operate and try and produce some things that would be helpful.
Seth, it is
Yes.
clear that John had a very aggressive timeline. when
Oh,
he
yeah,
first
no,
presented. So the rules committee kind of said no. Then when they set this date, the thought was only one meeting. So what you're proposing would take more time.
I can't
And
see
that's
how we
good
do it in one
feedback.
meeting.
No,
I don't think we're beholden to anyone
no,
to
no,
set an arbitrary deadline and try to make
That's
something
correct.
happen.
But to Seth's point, I mean, everyone vanishes when school lets out.
Yeah, you have to
And
do
so
it
I think
before that.
if we're gonna get this done in something like John's timeframe, I think we need to wrap this up by June 1, June 15th, just so that,
I like the June 1 date.
Yeah, I was
Well,
gonna say,
I-
end of May
Yeah,
to
that's
give
fine.
another RTM
Yeah.
meeting cycle, because there's a meeting in June, but is there one, not one in July or August, so
No.
maybe May, so, anyway, there's another, at least.
so, we're thinking June 1, just to pick a date?
we're splitting hairs, but sure, yeah.
All right,
Well, that gives you
This is
Yeah,
three
but-
full
time to
months.
have more than
Sure.
one meeting, which I think is good feedback. I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Can the district meetings be virtual, or do they have to be in person?
well, that's, I did do an agenda, because we gotta cover this stuff.
Okay.
So I got through the code and the charter, I got through Robert's rules. It's all the stuff that you're subject to as an RTM member, you're subject to in these meetings, and you do have to warn them and take minutes, and the minutes have to be in within 2 days of the meeting to Krista McNamara.
If there's a vote,
Yeah.
if there's no vote.
You know, even if you take, the minutes, whether you vote or
Because it's
not.
public, and not everybody can
Yeah.
attend, so they need the ability to at least be able to read what was talked.
Locations, how you want to work that, virtual meetings may be the best way, actually. Because that way you could have them at your leisure and not have to book them in an auditorium or book them with the lady who controls the rooms. It just
Timer
would make it a lot simpler. You
Does
can,
it need to be video? That's one part of it for you I'm not clear on. I thought it had to be open to the public.
yeah, it had,
But
well,
and
if you.
minuted, but it doesn't actually have to be recorded.
The virtual
I don't
meeting,
know.
yeah.
The virtual ones
I-
are recorded by.
I will check on seeing if they have to be recorded. I don't think I think you're right, but I'll double check on that.
I think
What
it
that
would
said
be,
is a
if
service.
So-
possible, great to have the details emailed. This is what needs to happen to have your meetings.
Yes.
They can be Zoom, they can be
Well,
hybrid,
okay,
they have to
um,
be in person.
If you look at the agenda, it spells, I'm going through
Okay.
what it
Okay.
is. I said that I have gone out to get copies of the charter that we can use. You cannot start to talk about it if you're not all working off the same document.
But Seth, respectfully, there's two ways to approach this, just big picture. You can take a right brain or a left brain. I mean, I forget which side is which, but there's an analytical approach which starts with the document, like you're saying. You can't start that approach without the document, right? There's the left brain approach, which is to say, what is the lived experience of being in town, and what are the sticking points there that we want to solve? Whether it's
Yeah.
your sticking points as a volunteer in town, or as a town official, or anywhere, and then you get from those sticking points to what are the changes you need to make in the document. Like that would be secondary. Like, I mean, in my mind, you're gonna 95% of the feedback that you would get from the public is more in that second class
Yes.
of like where people say, oh, to your example a minute ago, when I tried to apply for a dog license, this was a pain in the ass. How do I make this better? Or like that, people are going to come up with their lived experience. They're not going to come and say, I think chapter 47.3
Right, yeah,
is going to
right.
have to get changed.
Right, and to build on that, the number one complaint that I hear is the town hall's closed on Fridays.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a contract.
It's a problem.
So is that does the conversation end then? Or is it, we will share this the next time the contract is negotiated?
All right, well,
Excellent point.
Yeah.
And I concur.
a lot of the way that things are done are controlled by the code and by the charter. And if you don't know it or haven't read it or don't understand it, when it comes time to vote on something, which was outside what, let's say, you particularly, your topic. You got a topic and it's on the, and it's gonna have to go to the town charter to get changed or something like that. But there may be other ones that you don't know anything about because you haven't read the charter and you don't say, well, what's that all about, you know? So I think, you know, you have to be familiar with the code and the charter, so what's in there. And because then everything else that you start proposing, if you want to talk about boundaries and limits, there's a big fence there. It's called the code of the charter, and I think you have to know that, and if you think that there ought to be things that just don't make any sense that ought to be changed, you know,
Well, and I
you
don't
can do it, and you'll understand too when somebody brings something else up.
Right.
You say, well, but you know, that's going to require a code change, or that's going to require a state change because it doesn't, you know, it's outside that.
I'm not saying you don't want to hear those ideas.
Right,
No,
exactly.
no,
So you don't have to be
you need to, but it's
dismissive.
important
Right.
for you, everybody to be on the same page.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
And
So
there will
I'm-
be two categories probably, the things that are relevant to the charter and the code, and then other issues that
Right.
people bring up that they're concerned about, that we can say, okay, we'll pass those forward, that's not what we're discussing now, that's different, but we will let rules, John Zagrodsky, whatever, no.
Yeah, and you know, the point in the end is to vote what you want to bring forward. And have enough time to do it, and I think that even when the April 30 was brought up, you know, there were a lot of people at the table going, what? You know?
You're only adding 30 days.
What? What? Yeah. You know, so, okay, so, so that's,
But just
so
to be
that's
clear,
that.
the
We're
very
leaving-
existence of the Board of Selectmen is in the charter. So if
Yeah.
I say to you, Seth, I honestly think in my personal judgment that a mayor and council structure is more efficient than a multiple series of boards, then that would be something that could theoretically be brought forward.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just saying, like, I mean,
I assure you, John's words out of his mouth were, we're not here to discuss whether I should have a mayor structure versus a council. But
okay, but
that's coming from him. He
Again-
opened Pandora's box.
Hey.
you ask for everything, you're gonna get everything.
Well, I mean, that's.
And I was not
that's
aware of
it,
that
and,
comment, so.
And my fear was that
I will.
it was better to have the RTM have a methodology for debating stuff and talking about stuff that ought to change, rather than having ersatz stuff just filed in letters to the editor.
Absolutely.
How effective would that be? So that's why we're here tonight.
Thank you.
That's why I'm, you know, so I'm walking through, I've told you what the code, the charter, what you got, you know, that it's I've got to get you that.
Yeah.
The meeting rules, you know what they are, I've told you what they are.
The video.
Meeting locations are gonna have to be set up, as far as I can see. The easiest way is to do them all virtual, but,
But you have to answer that question first. If they don't have to be recorded, it will be
yeah,
easier
no,
to
I've
tell.
got that, yep.
Okay.
Then, I guess just how you guys want to accomplish the task within your districts is pretty much gonna be up to you.
Okay.
It's, and I just opened Pandora's box,
Yep.
okay? But I put it down here, but I think, you know,
I have faith in all of you.
you
So-
know,
But I think we're gonna come up with
I
6
agree.
different ways to approach this topic,
Absolutely.
and some of us are gonna be, I mean,
It's a good thing.
yeah, I agree. I mean, in the abstract, I think the
I'm
side
speaking
of,
for me now.
the side of my brain
We're
that
here,
needs
it might
order
not
and
agree
structure
with
is.
anything.
To say that pear is fun, it's definitely fun,
I'm not shy.
yeah.
I think it would be good for Seth to go back to the Rules Committee, either with some affirmation or some tentative reaction by district heads to this concept of delegating the work to the district. Because that was also part of the debate, right? It's like, does it belong there? You know, you obviously know what my opinion is. I think it would be helpful. sitting on the Rules Committee, be able to express back to them that this was a well-received idea, or there's some, reservations about it, because I think that's helpful too, going forward, just to know where people are.
Considering this is budget time also makes way more sense, because the separate committees are so busy sort
Yeah.
of dealing with that
No,
this to me makes sense. And also, we can better reach individual constituents.
So your sense is, yeah, we got the message, we'll do our best? All right.
Wait,
No, no.
are you happy to have been appointed this task? Because I know they
That
got the
doesn't
message
matter.
into it.
That-
No, no, I
Like,
think
work
it's
comes up,
well
and you have to
said.
deal with work.
Yeah.
This is work that comes up.
I get that,
Right.
but this
We'll chat.
seemed to be
Okay.
a divergence from the usual
I don't
way of
mind
assigning
being- I think
tasks.
the constituents do have a right to be heard and should say, they
No, I
should
mean-
have a say in this.
Nah.
To Seth's point earlier, right,
Mhm.
this is a generational opportunity to address the charter, which I think on its, at the simplest level is an excellent opportunity, right? I am concerned that it's gonna be hard to strike the balance of scope between too broad and too narrow, and that with only now 3 months instead of 2 to execute at least the initial brainstorming part, which would seem like that may not be enough time to actually generate the ideas that we really want. Like, how long did it take just to do Great Island, right? I mean, it took a couple of years. I mean, how long did the last Charter Revision Committee work focused on charter revision, right? They worked for months and months before they even got to a resolution. So I think that asking, literally saying, okay, you've got 93 days, go, right, is asking
Well, let's see.
a lot.
I mean,
I
we're
don't
gonna
think we can't do
I
it.
don't-
tomorrow, we'll get the charter and we'll find out if it has to be recorded, and then it's an email that you send to your district and say, here are 3 dates where we can meet virtually, what do you, vote, whatever.
But-
It's sort
okay,
of,
so
it's
that-
up
if-
to
if-
us to
yeah.
take the initiative.
Right.
And then if it turns out that everybody is on vacation, not working, then email us all back and say, I'm struggling, or this is a hard time, I need a little bit more time. Till we get, I don't see any reason why
No,
we can't be flexible that way.
We are flexible. I think starting out with no end date in mind, that's not a
We have to
good,
have some kind of goal.
not a
but-
good place to be on this one, so I would,
Completely.
I sense that you're willing to take on the task, and you recognize that it's not easy, and I think, I think there's enough flexibility in there to be able to, the key thing is getting the ideas out and then getting them on the table.
Yeah.
And the districts, you've got an organization now in each district where you can start, you got some way of getting your arms around it. Down from 100 members sending in ideas. So I think I recognize that. I'm hearing you're willing to go forward with it. And that your initial target is June 15.
Oh, wait, we
June
changed
1,
it.
it's June 1.
June 1, excuse me. No,
I'll file my request for 2 weeks.
that's why we have a clerk taking. See, it's good to get corrected. June 1 looks good, and I think then this group, you can choose your own person who you want to chair. I'm happy to do it. That's up to you, but putting together monthly meetings is possible. And probably it's important to do that, because then all of the things that we've discussed might happen. We will then have on the table, this is what happened, this is where we are. And clearly, I have already on the rules agenda, report, an update on our findings from our first meeting. What did you do? Well, I had a meeting of the 6 district chairs, and here's all the here's all the things that they're concerned about, but they seem to be willing to go on and get it done. And for now, June 1 is the target, and that may or may not change depending upon, on how, what's happening as we go about this.
You may not want to meet as a district head until after the districts have met. 'Cause
For
I don't know
sure,
what you
yeah.
would talk about.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
even if we met in 2 weeks, before any of us had done any substantive work,
Yeah.
it would be helpful to understand at least what everyone's planning, how to execute
Well,
this.
that's fair.
Yeah.
That's a
Because
fair point.
I think we're gonna have 6 different approaches.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think you probably have to do that way,
I agree. We could even.
I would like that.
Yeah, I would like that too.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Seth, I'd ask you respectfully if you could just put those meetings, are we for the last, whatever, the 4th Thursday of every month? Just book them up,
Oh,
or whatever works for.
yeah, I'd have to.
No, I need you tell me
Okay.
what you want to do, and
I
then I
have
will
a
do my
very
best
complex
to,
schedule.
at least,
so I just,
Oh, boy.
I, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
impressed you're here then. How did you make that work?
Well, I am a therapist by trade, so I do have like nighttime clients, and then I have RTM, and then I have my
oh, that's terrific. You and I need to talk privately.
We could all use some time.
But you could do this meeting virtually too.
Yes.
That might make
That was
Okay.
gonna be
Yeah, well,
my
I wanted to have the first meeting,
in person.
No, I
face to
think that
face.
was good. I think that was good.
yeah.
I agree.
Thursdays actually are generally okay for me, except for once a month when I have my PZNH. So, I'm just putting that out there.
Any other?
My Thursdays are good except when I have public works, so see you in the region.
So,
I'll call that.
All it.
So could we say, schedule the next meeting for Thursday, March 26th? Does that work for people?
Let's take a quick look.
I can do
Okay.
March
I
26th.
can do that.
I can't speak on behalf of my district chair or vice chair. However, I am willing to back them up. What did you say?
Sarah better be careful. because
It's a coup.
Brian
It's not a
may,
good-
Brian may get,
I will admit, he was pretty happy to let me come to
that's,
this.
that's the
pushback there.
scary part, yes.
Well, that's because
Put my committee meetings on here.
March 26th, you said?
Okay,
March 26th?
Yeah, that's
we
fine.
can set them as we go along.
Okay.
We'll have to just, are we doing that virtually, or are we checking room availability? I prefer
Well, how would
in-person.
would you rather do it this way for the next one, or how? Okay,
Whatever the group
face to
I'm
face.
fine doing it in person. That's fine.
Okay.
I prefer in person, and if we can't, then that's fine.
Yeah, we get stuff.
Yeah,
Me too.
Mhm.
Except for F and B, where I have to state for the record, virtual works just fine.
oh, well.
Jack is the
I mean,
master of
I
virtual.
do not want to opine on that at all, except that he informed me that the Rules Committee meeting is gonna fall on the same time as the budget hearing, so,
Yeah, that's a problem, because I
well,
can't be in two places at once.
I'm going with the same date, I gotta.
Can't you move the time? Does rules have to meet at 7:30?
No, I can do that.
Why don't you try moving the time around? Because Jack's meetings are an hour. He keeps to an hour, he's very good. So,
But he's,
that's at
it's
7:30.
talking about, is it also with somebody else on the budget, that one? I'll call Jack and ask him. I can,
He's got whatever.
didn't
the
mean to
sewer-
interrupt you all here.
Yeah,
We got a
we can
little-
talk about this
Yeah,
later,
yeah,
but,
okay.
but if you can move the time.
I
of
can do
rules,
that,
then
yeah.
I think it's gonna make life easy, because I can't be in two places and.
No,
There's
well,
several
he
people
said,
that
I
love
said,
to do that.
Jack, trying to move these dates around is crazy.
you know, But our challenge on that committee is we're overseeing all the budgets, and therefore we're overseeing all the meetings
That's
related.
it, yeah.
And
It's,
he has squeezed our F and B committee meetings into that, and there's just no room, so.
okay, so we'll set the next meeting for March 26th, face to face, and
It's in the phone, so it's
in the
official.
meantime, you will meet to start the process. I have to get you a copy of the charter and the code to work off of as you need. It's just a referral item because it sits there in the background and it's not going anywhere, so. How much you want to get into it is up to you, but you'll want it.
Well,
Yeah, we
at the end of the day,
I
everything
enjoy
needs to be
things
in
like
the
that
code.
for some reason.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to reading it.
I'm gonna make a true confession that I've used ChatGPT to analyze the charter. It is an incredibly useful tool.
Wow,
Which one?
good to know.
Can
Oh,
you
ChatGPT.
share with us the output of that, so that,
Ah,
I know, I asked it very specific questions, like,
okay,
so, pick a topic, whatever it is. If you're thinking about X, Y, and Z that you want to improve, enhance, you can go in ChatGPT and you just phrase your entire question like you would be giving it to an analyst to go research for you. And it'll come back and give you the answer.
That's great.
And it'll quote the section of the charter, the code, you know, it just saves you so much time.
That's great.
And then I go read the section. I don't trust it.
Yeah, but-
But I do read it, but I will tell you,
and I'm very pleased to hear, yeah, that's good.
but it does a lot of the work for you. It really does. And since it's a public document, you don't have to worry about being confidential. It's just a very easy tool.
excellent, thank you.
Good tip.
Yeah, that is a good one. Also, Seth, you're gonna check to see if the meeting needs to be recorded, if we do
No,
virtual.
I've
we do virtual.
I've got that, yep.
Thank you.
Find that out tomorrow.
So it does, makes life a lot
I'm
easier.
trying to think if I could give you an answer right off the top. We've
Well,
We've
it's a
done
best practice to
some
record.
virtual, but the ones I did virtually, I think with rules, I think were recorded too. Yeah, I'll check that out. I gotta be sure on that.
I mean, during COVID, they were, unless you had to go into executive committee and then we stopped
Well,
recording.
that clearly is.
Right, and then we
yeah.
started recording, so that's
That's
what
still
makes
the
me
same.
realize that we recorded it, because we had to stop at one
Well,
point.
we're recorded
Yeah.
tonight.
But I think
Yeah.
in general, almost every single RTM and committee meeting is now recorded.
Oh, they are,
I think so,
yeah.
I think so.
So,
Yeah.
and which I think is fantastic. So again, in the interest of
It's a
transparency,
It's a practice.
even if it's not legally required, I think it would be foolhardy of us not to attempt to get a TV 79 recording for everything we do.
Yeah.
Just-
Unless it doesn't allow people to be candid, but maybe that doesn't,
As a
maybe
stop.
you can't do that, right, that's,
I haven't
Not
seen
an option.
a lot of people hold their fire because they are on TV 79. In fact, some people have to add kerosene to the fire.
I am always a little stunned when somebody says, oh yeah, I saw you on TV 79. I said, what? Yeah, they record all those
Oh.
movies now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I was at a Darien Men's Association meeting. Guy came up to me and said, hey, that rules committee meeting was wild. You know, I said, well, we have.
I think they need to diversify their TV viewing a little bit.
I said, we do allow for free expression. You know.
Take the First Amendment very seriously.
Okay, are there anything else you want to talk about, or are you ready to adjourn?
I want to thank you for bringing us into the loop and for organizing this first meeting. I think we, again, I don't think we get a vote on whether we get this work, but I think this is a productive way to go. So,
Good.
It has to get done, and the only way that we really could see it for a group the size of the RTM was to use some of our existing organizations. And as it turned out, the best way to go was have the districts do it.
great.
Great, so I'll take
report
them.
to rules that we welcome the opportunity to take this task on.
Open-heartedly.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, oh, yes.
With enthusiasm.
Yes, there we go.
All right, well, that's great. So you are on the agenda of the Rules Committee. I have to report out what went on, and I have backup. Good. So I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
Second,
Seconded.
please.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vote with your feet.
Thank you.